Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Starcastic Remarks alongside Chris. My name is Ryan Chambers. We are the official Dallas Stars podcast of THPN. As always, we thank you for being along here with us this evening. Chris is actually broadcasting from his brand new apartment. How's it going, Chris? I know you're like super happy to be in that new place, right?
Well, I am happy to be in the new place, but the process of getting into the new place is a grueling one.
Because you were in like I forget, was it a second-story apartment or a third-story apartment?
Yeah, we were in a second-story apartment, and we've moved all the way from Austin. We moved all the way to Austin.
Oh, I didn't even think about the piano. How much fun was that?
It was paid for. I was not even going to try.
Good. That's honestly a good thing. Well, I'm glad you got most of the stuff out of the way. Are you still unpacking boxes and stuff like that?
Yeah, most of the boxes are unpacked, but we're hanging things on walls now, banging around, making a bunch of noise for our neighbor. So that's fun.
And this is a bigger apartment too, right?
A little bit bigger, yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyways, enough about Chris's apartment adventures. But other than that, how has everything else been going with you?
It's been good. It rained the whole time while we were trying to move in, so that was difficult as well. But now I'm in a new office, and it's a little bare, and the only light is from above me, so you have to stare at my somehow even bigger forehead if you're watching live, so I apologize for that.
Well, I don't think people care. People always have said that I have a face for radio, so I'm glad to do it on the audio side, which is the way that most people are starting to listen nowadays. It seems like more and more people are starting to listen to podcasts rather than doing it on YouTube. But nonetheless, we're not here to talk about any of that stuff. We're here to talk about the Dallas Stars. We are in the dog days of summer. We just recently released another episode of Stars Fan Stories with Matthew. Go and check that out. That's available on the YouTube channel, and it's also going to be available tomorrow morning if you're listening live right now. It's going to be available Wednesday morning, starting at, I think I have it set for 2 a.m. is when it's going to be available. So whenever, if you drive to work or if you're like, getting ready for work in the morning or whatever you do, you can take a listen to that. It was great talking with Matthew on that. So, but today our main topic was going to be talking about the forward grades for the 24-25 season. We're going to go through each of the forwards and go. Chris, do you want to go 1 to 10 or you want to give A through F?
Whatever. No, I want to do A through F. That's more fun.
Okay. All right. So A to F. And are we including pluses and minuses?
Absolutely.
Okay, we give plus and minuses. And we will get to that, but there are a couple of things I do want to get to before we get to that. And the first thing is Chris has not gotten a chance to kind of talk about his opinion about the Matt Dumba trade. I think we all knew this was coming, Chris, but we end up trading Matt Dumba and a second-round pick, which I think that's kind of a high price to pay for getting rid of a contract. And we get back this 24-year-old who's a left-handed defenseman in Wyatt. What do you think about that trade in particular? Some people are saying it's a tidy piece of work by Jim Nill, and others are just like, you're fixing a mistake that you made. What do you think?
Yeah, it's definitely dirty. It's sweeping up a bad contract under the rug, and that's what it was. It wasn't a good contract, clearly. It didn't pan out at all. The second-round pick is way too expensive. I get the idea of wanting to get. You said his name. I have no idea how to say the new defenseman's name.
Wyatt.
Wyatt,
something like that. One of the two.
I've heard something like that. He was a second-round pick when he was drafted, so I'm guessing that was kind of the sell that Pittsburgh gave. He's been a guy who's straddling NHL, AHL for the past couple of years. And I think that just goes to show what's more important for the Stars right now. Is it a draft pick in a couple of years that'll take another couple of years to develop? Or is it a guy that, even though it's a long shot, could potentially help the Dallas Stars right now? And however you say his name, it could help us now, just depending on what kind of depth is needed with whatever injuries happen at defense. So there's a chance he could be helpful, whereas a second-round draft pick a few years from now is not going to help us next year.
Realistically, do you think I see him more up here, or do you think you're going to see him more down there in Austin?
I think he'll be in Austin more, but he honestly might get claimed. He got claimed last year by Pittsburgh, bouncing between the Mammoth and the Roadrunners. So I think if you get him sent down, you better wait to call him up until you're sure, because I don't know how many times he's going to clear waivers.
It also goes to show you that it just gives the Stars a little bit more depth on D, which is, if you are trading out Matt Dumba, which, I mean, we all knew that was coming, because just based off of the fact that we signed Faksa and he's got that $3.75 million cap hit. That's just something that we had expected to see, but it was a mistake. It was literally just taking the dry erase board, eraser and just wiping it off the board. That's basically what it was. But it was nice to at least get a player in return that could possibly give you some depth, moving forward. This is a guy who can play in the NHL. That's basically what it is. So
just costs too much. Second round pick is too high of a price for that.
But here's the thing, though, Chris. There are a lot of teams that are trying to get better. There's not a whole lot of teams that are trying to race to the bottom, despite Gavin McKenna being the number one projected pick. I mean, like Anaheim might actually make the playoffs this year. I don't think they're going to be a dumpster diver team this year. Pittsburgh is definitely on their way down. I think that is absolutely a team that is on their way down. Goodness knows Buffalo. I don't know. But like, there's not a ton of teams that I look at and I'm like, okay, yeah, they're looking to add bad players with contracts so that they can add draft picks as well and utilize that way. But Pittsburgh is one of the few teams that is. Yeah. So
I'm not saying it's the wrong decision. I'm just saying it's too expensive for a second round pick. I think I'd rather buy him out and get the extra $1 million that is already, that's available cap space right now, technically, for the Stars.
Do you think that Jim Nill truly believed in Matt Dumba?
Oh, yeah. Well, when he signed him, yeah. Jim Nill loves depth, veteran defensemen. That's been proven. And he just got burned this time.
Yeah, I just don't know what he was seeing. And the only thing that was bad about all of this, Chris, at least for me, is not necessarily giving Matt Dumba a chance. Because I'm fine with giving Matt Dumba a chance, but not at $3.75 million.
Yeah, the contract was bad when it was signed.
Like if it had been like, I don't know, even $2 million or 2.25 or something like that, I would be able to stomach that a little bit better than what we actually ended up giving him. So,
and it was 3 years too. We thought that, Nill thought that he was going to pan out and that he might be a good placeholder on the right side of Miro or on the left side of Miro even. So yeah, I don't know. It was a mistake.
All right. And I wasn't planning on asking you about this, but I'm going to go ahead and ask you about it because there's still things going on about there. Rasmus Andersson, do you still see that as a possibility for the Dallas Stars? Because, with the move, the Stars have about $2 million in cap space. It's a little less. It's like 1.8, 1.9 actually. And you could realistically move Lyubushkin in a trade with the Calgary Flames for Rasmus Andersson. And there have been some things that, the Calgary Flames are looking at Jason Robertson and, looking to trade for him. And I'm like, duh, of course. Like if you're trying to trade out your guy who is not going to come back, then you're going to ask for the best thing in return. So is there any realism to that? I'm sure there are talks and there are discussions. Is there any actually realism that something like that is happening where Robertson is involved in a deal with Rasmus Andersson?
Well, it would have to be Robertson for Andersson. You're not going to get Andersson and keep Robertson. But the problem with that is you're swapping one player who's going to be an RFA next offseason for another player who's going to be an RFA at next offseason. So
UFA.
Anderson will be a UFA even.
Yep, I think he's 29.
Wow. So yeah, even worse. So you're getting a player that you retain rights on in exchange for a player that you won't have any rights on. So yeah, it just doesn't make much sense to me. If moving Robertson is purely a money thing, then I don't know why you'd move him for a player that's going to have to get paid as well. And he's due for a pretty good raise. Maybe not as much as some people are saying Robertson might make, but he's going to get paid. So it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. And it just doesn't seem like the Stars are really going after anything right now. I think they were asking around, saying if there was a huge offer for Jason Robertson. And when that wasn't available, it was like, all right, we're going to shut it down, and we're going to figure out how to sign Robo for what the rest of the league thinks he's worth now too. Because that's the other thing that you're getting whenever you shop him around is you see, okay, what are other people willing to pay him then?
So let's jump into that for a second too, since we're both kind of thinking about that. The rumor today and the rumor in the last couple of days is that Robertson is looking to at least have his next contract matched compared to Mikko Rantanen's. Mikko Rantanen is making $12 million a year for the next 8 years. Is that realistic?
No.
I can see it, but I don't think that he's going to get to that number. I think that the Stars are around the $10 million mark, and his camp is saying $12 million, and they're going to meet somewhere in the middle, whether that be a little above or a little below $11 million. That's my guess. I don't know if it'll be for 8 years though. That's the only thing that I question in the back of my head, because as good as a regular season player as he is, he has not shown that kind of success in the playoffs. And before people come and start yelling at me through their computer screen, he has been good in the playoffs the last couple of years, but it has just not been consistent throughout the playoffs when you need him the most. So where do you think his actual contract will land after all is said and done? Because I do think that the Stars do re-sign him.
Well, if you look at it just statistically, he's not equivalent to Mikko Rantanen. Regular season, Mikko Rantanen puts up more numbers than Jason Robertson does. And postseason, Mikko Rantanen, I think he more than doubles what Jason Robertson does in the postseason. So, yeah, being anywhere close to the same number is kind of ridiculous to me. I could see Robo maybe cracking the 10 million mark. And
so you're not even like up to 11 then?
No, I don't think so. I think $10 million would be around where he would be good to be paid at. But it's also hard to say that because with the cap going up so much, pretty much year over year, it's kind of hard to tell exactly where the market's at too.
I mean, I still remember when we were just about to end an episode several years ago, and Robertson's contract came out for 7.75. And we, all three of us, you, me, and James, all said, holy crap, how did Jim Nill get him to agree to that? Is this another one of those scenarios where we see something like that? Because I don't know. I honestly don't know. And I don't want to say that I don't trust Jim Nill and what he says and what he will be able to do. He's been able to get really good contracts out of players for the last couple of years, including that Robertson deal. And even $12 million for Mikko Rantanen, I still think that that's a pretty good deal considering what he's probably going to do with the Stars over the next 8 years. So does he make less than 10? Can Jim Nill get him to go less than 10?
Maybe. I don't know if you get less than 10. I think that's just kind of a benchmark, like if you make that extra figure, then you're really in the top of the top players in the NHL. And that might be something that his camp really sticks firm on, which I think would be fine. But yeah, he's around the 10 million mark for me by what we've seen for other players.
Term wise, are you willing to give him 8 years?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Whether he actually does it or not will be interesting because
because he could have taken an 8-year contract probably when his last contract was coming up. So if he wants to keep doing contracts for value, then it's good for him, and he can maybe take a little bit less money for that if he wants to try and prove that he's worth more later.
He's going to be one of the last players that actually gets the opportunity to sign an 8-year contract because September 15th, not here in this year in 2025, but in 2026, 8-year contracts will not exist anymore. So that's because of the new CBA. So that will be interesting to see what Jason Robertson can get. I still think he's going to get above 10 million though, Chris. That's just my hunch and my gut reaction. Let's get into some of the other stuff that we do want to talk about here today. And literally today, the time we're recording this on July 16th, excuse me, the Stars did release their schedule for the 25-26 season. So there are lots of highlights looking through the schedule and everything, Chris. I don't know if you've really gotten a chance to look through it. The Stars' first game is going to be against the Winnipeg Jets, which that's very interesting. That's very cool. I like that the NHL put that on. And there are a ton of games across a very short period of time for the Dallas Stars. I mean, there are some nutso things where they've got 6 games in 11 days. They've got several games or several weeks where they've got 3 and 4 days. So it's just going to be nuts for this season, mostly because they've got the obviously the Olympic break. So is there anything that stood out to you and anything you want to highlight with the schedule?
Yeah, a lot of back-to-backs, and that'll be tough. The Stars were pretty good at them last year, so hopefully they can keep doing that again. Also, last season, at the end of the year, it felt like the Stars had a pretty similar to what this schedule is looking like. I mean, they had the Four Nations break, and it felt like the end there. It was every other day for 2 months, and it's going to be every other day for the entire season this year with that pretty much 3-week break in the middle of February.
And they've got some they got some weird scheduling things going on here too. There was one road trip in particular in January I was looking at where they have one home game in the first 17 days of January. So just crazy. And so that they play on Sunday the 4th of January against Montreal. And then it's almost like they have 2 separate road trips within the same road trip, right? So they go out east and they play Carolina, Washington back to back. They get 2 days off, and then they go 4 games in 6 days. They go San Jose, LA, Anaheim, Utah. That's
rough.
That is really rough. Like I can't even imagine. And then when you look at the month of March, there is only 2 times in the month of March where they have 2 days off, where they don't have a game. I shouldn't say 2 days off. 2 days where 2 times in a row, and where they have 2 days where they don't have a game. Again, that's crazy.
And there's then, 3 times that month where they have back-to-backs. They have more back-to-backs than they have back-to-back days off.
And I mean, we all knew this was coming. We knew it was going to be crazy like this just because of the Olympic break and everything like that. But then when you look at April, the first 2 weeks of April, the first 11 days, there's nothing but home games. So, and I think that's their longest homestand of the season, if I remember correctly.
Just 5
games. Just 5 games.
There's a 6 game one in March.
Did I see that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, I was wrong. Okay, so they have 6. See, this is just weird. They don't normally have like long stretches of time where they're on the road or they're at home. Normally it's like they have one giant one and they have a couple of ones that are like, 3 or 4 games where they're at home or on the road. But then they've got some really weird situations. Like, for example, they've got in November the 8th, they play Nashville at 2:30 on a Saturday matinee. And then they turn around, go back home to play Seattle on Sunday evening. And then they're right back on the road, and they go all the way up to Ontario to play Ottawa, like 2 days later. Like that, this is, and this is something that if you don't know, the Stars have one of the worst travels in the NHL. That's just, bare minimum. That's just the truth and the way that it works out. And like, for for like those in the Metro division, that it's the travel is so much easier compared to what the Stars have to deal with. So go and do yourself a favor. Go and take a look at some of those at the schedule, and then there's even some weird things where they've got 4 games over the Christmas holidays, basically. Like, and that's it. 4 games over like I don't know, 10 days. Oh yeah, and that's the other thing. That's the other weird thing I don't think we've ever seen before. December 31st, they always have a home game, right? That's just what they do. They've had that for years. The only time they didn't was 2020 when they played in the Winter Classic, right? They play their annual home game on December 31st, and then they turn around on a back-to-back, and they have to go to Chicago on New Year's Day to play in Chicago.
That's going to be a horrible game.
That sucks. like you don't even get to enjoy the festivities of the new year, or get to hang out or anything. It's just all right. Let's go to Chicago.
There might
be
some festivities enjoyed anyway, so I think that game we just count that as an L.
Well, okay.
I'd love to be on that plane ride to Chicago.
Oh my gosh, I can't even imagine. Okay. Anything else about the schedule you want to talk about?
Nope.
Okay.
82-0 is on the table.
82-0 is on the table, and then next year it could be 84-0 on the table. Okay. So let's get into the 2024-2025 forward grades. I don't even know where you want to start. I hadn't thought of like a specific way to structure this. But let's do this. Let's go back and forth between you and me, and I'll let you pick first. You pick the player first and give your grade and why.
All right, you're gonna have to keep track of which players we've done then. So
okay, I will try to do that.
I'll start it off with the big daddy. We'll go Mikko. I'm going to include regular season and playoffs, and we're going to give Mikko the A. He gets this straight A.
Okay, why not A+?
Well, because his regular season just wasn't fantastic, obviously. But all was forgiven whenever he did what he did in the postseason. I mean, we would be talking about what a huge step back it was, and oh boy, what have we gotten ourselves into by trading for Mikko and he didn't show up all season long? We would be so nervous this offseason. But since he showed up when he really needed to, and we know that Mikko Rantanen is actually the key to McKinnon's success, we know that this season will be just fine with Mikko Rantanen kind of leading the way for the offense.
McKinnon is a Mikko merchant. That's how it is. Okay, I know we're talking about the 24-25 season in general, but I also do want to talk about with moving forward as well, is with the depth that the Stars have lost. I think a lot of people are not talking enough about how good Mikko Rantanen truly needs to be next year in order for this team to be good. I think that's overlooked a little bit because we keep talking about like, oh, well, all these younger players like Wyatt Johnston and, Bork and, Jamie probably has to play a little bit better because of their lack of depth on the left wing side and stuff like that. Like, that is the biggest thing for me. One of the biggest things in why your depth is taking a hit. It is literally because of Mikko Rantanen. So what's your expectation for him points wise for next season? Are we talking at least a point per game at the very least? Or are we talking like if he doesn't get to 100 points, that's not good enough?
Yeah, well, he needs to do what he's always done. He needs to be Mikko Rantanen, and he's got to score a lot. I mean, he should be pushing for 100 points this season, if not more, since I think he's going to be able to – he's not going to be playing second fiddle anymore. He's going to be the soloist. He can take the lead, and I think he proved in the playoffs that he can be pretty darn good at that. So he has to be a superstar, and I think the reason people aren't talking about it is because Mikko Rantanen is a superstar. I mean, he doesn't have to change anything. He has to do what he does.
I would argue he's almost playing third fiddle down there in Colorado when you've got McKinnon and then Makar. Honestly,
yeah,
there's some truth to that. So for me, for Mikko, I give him the A+ just because of what he did in the playoffs. And again, I know we weren't very specific on playoff grades and regular season grades, but If you're talking about
I'm
them,
combining mine.
yeah, I'm combining them too. He
Now
deserves
we're
the A+.
specific.
It was literally him and Ottinger that drugged this team to the Western Conference Final this year. They were not playing their best hockey at all, not even close. And because of him and Otter, they're the two reasons why the Stars made the Western Conference Final. That's my personal opinion. Yep. Okay, since you went with an easy one, I'll go with an easy one too. I'll go with Roope Hintz. I still think there's another step for this player. And I don't know what's necessarily holding him back, except for one thing. And I think the thing that's holding him back is he is just not able to stay healthy. I think if he stays healthy and like he's not gonna miss like, I don't know, he's not gonna miss like 60 games like Seguin did this past year, but every season he's gonna have 5 to 10-ish games where he's not gonna be able to play because of an injury. If he can just stay healthy and find a way to be consistent in staying healthy, I think that helps a ton, because that will get him going with Mikko as well. So look, moving forward, I think that's why I'm a little bit harsh on my grade here for Hintz, because I wanted him to do a little bit more than he did this year. I'll give him a B, because I really truly think he's not pushing to that next step yet, and we haven't quite seen that next step. What do you think, Chris? Am I being too harsh?
Yeah, I'm kind of on the same level. Like he's fantastic. He's a solid top line center, great two-way player. He's a obvious and clear first line center in the NHL, and he's doing that job just fine. But I think what you talked about and what we've talked about a lot in the past is that Roope Hintz has everything he needs to be a superstar in the NHL, and he's just right below that. He's a B tier celebrity in the NHL, not an A tier, and there's not exactly a reason for it. It's just the scoring touch is just not quite there for him like it is for other people with similar skill sets. And I don't know if I really buy that it's an injury thing. I mean, he's scored plenty with being a little bit injured every year. I think he's one of the players that doesn't feel as comfortable playing through stuff, which kind of makes sense given what his skill set is. It's being quick and being able to move well, because if he can't do that, he probably feels like he's more of a hindrance than a help. So I don't know if I buy the injury thing. I think he just has got to find that scoring touch, and there's just an it factor that superstars have, and it's probably the hardest thing to find, because you can't really teach that. But every year I'm going to kind of hold my breath a little bit, at least at the start of the season, to see if this is the one where Roope Hintz breaks out. And I'm going to keep saying it until it happens or he's gone.
He's been very consistent the last 4 years.
Yeah.
Looking at his points. I mean, if you're just doing it based off of his points, I mean, he got the last 4 years, 72, 75, 65, 67. And this past year. So that's very nice and easy to do, and you can predict him to be somewhere between the 65 to 75 point range. It feels like there's more though.
Right. It feels like he does that really easily.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't feel like he's done anything exceptional. And as soon as he gets to doing something exceptional, he's going to be pushing that 100-point mark.
And the other thing that, and I know we hate it, but the plus minus for him, he's a plus 95 over his career. That's very good.
I care that he's a good defender. And if you want to use that stat to say he's a good defender, then sure.
And to be honest with you, what I said doesn't really track, because I mean, he's played 80 games, 73 games, 80 games, 76 games in the last 4 years. So he's played more, like 90% of the games. So maybe it's not injury. Maybe it's literally just the fact that our expectation is so high of him. And does that mean we just need to lower our expectation of Roope Hintz? He is a number one center, but is he ever going to hit that, elite status, like you said, like a B tier celebrity? I just don't know.
It's just an it factor. I mean, there's nothing to teach there. He's learned everything, and he's doing everything extremely well. But if he wants to get to superstar, there's got to be something else that comes, and I have no idea what it is. And Nobody else does either, but there's something.
Okay, we have done Migo Rantanen and Roope Hintz. Your turn.
Let's do Jason Robertson. This is a weird one because, it's the tale of two halves. First half of the season was bad. I think we can see that pretty plainly. And then the second half of the season, he's probably at least one of the best forwards in the entire National Hockey League. So combine all that together, to me, that's a B+. We'll give him the B+.
And again, this is another player that he kind of gets thrown in there with Roope a little bit in the fact that he is a very good player. And it just feels like there's another step to him that he could take. And again, this is another guy, when you look at the last 4 years, he has been very consistent with one outlier. So 21-22, he had 79 points, 23-24, he had 80. And then last year he had 80. This past season, he had more goals than he had 2 years ago. So that's good. But the outlier year, that 22-23 season where he had 109 points, is that the outlier? Is that the career year? I don't know, because he's still only 25. So
right.
I don't know.
And that's what he's pointing at to say $12 million, is that 100 points easy. He says, I'm a 100-point player. And it's like,
but consistently you're at the 80
I don't know if
point
you
level.
are. Right. And that's where I kind of disagree with you comparing him to Roope, is that I think
does he
Robertson
have that same clutch? I guess that's a way to put it. Does he have that clutch gene that makes him just a little bit higher than the rest of the good players?
Well, Robertson absolutely has the clutch gene, but he has that, and he has the goal scoring gene, and he has nothing else. So that's why, to me, it feels like to get 80 points for Jason Robertson is a pretty tall task. But that's why it feels like the 65 to 75 for Roope is not, because he has every skill. And Robo doesn't have every skill, but the skill he does have is probably the most important one for a forward, and that's scoring goals.
I think I'm going to give him an A-. I think I am going to give him an A-, and mostly because I'm giving him a little bit of the benefit of the doubt for the beginning of the year, because this is the first year that he's coming off of a major injury or whatever. And he said it himself that, he didn't feel like himself and he was playing fairly poorly. And I mean, like we've said numerous times, the Four Nation tournament rosters were released and then he just went fire, complete and utter fire. He was one of the top 5 players for a good period of time for the next 2 months up until the Four Nations break. He was one of the best players in the NHL. So, and then I don't want to say he was invisible in the playoffs, because he wasn't, but
he was hurt the first round. He was hurt. So he was invisible there. And then the second round, I mean, he was still hurt in the second round.
And then in the third round, he was one of the Stars' best players.
He was the Stars' best player.
Yeah. He was consistently the only one that was scoring goals in that third round. And that's when they mean the most. So I think he just needs an off season of not being hurt and not getting over a major surgery or anything like that. I think that will do him a lot of good. And I think he will come back a lot fresher this year. Now, am I expecting 100 points? No. But am I expecting him to at least get to that point per game or close somewhere around there? Obviously, yes, because that's what the last 4 seasons have said that he's gotten to. So for the 24-25 season, I give him an A-. That's just what I think.
Yeah. I always wondered how much of that talk about him being injured and missing a lot of ramp up going into the season was a little bit of cope, which it might have been for him, but mentally, you might kind of need that, because people talk about a lot how goal scoring is a confidence thing. And if he's able to just kind of explain away that part and just be like, oh, it's just the injury, I'm back now and I'm 100% and now I can score goals easily. That's just something, I mean, professional athletes have to do sometimes. You have to make something up to blame so that you can keep that confidence high. I think that's something a lot of goalies have to do too. If you hear a goalie talking about how, oh, that one was like Connor Hellebuck last year, whenever he got torched by Colorado, and he was saying,
Right.
"Oh wow, this is the greatest team ever. I can't imagine how anyone's going to stop them." And then Colorado was then stopped by us. It was not so much that, oh, Colorado was really just that fantastic. It's that when you're in a position where you have to have supreme confidence, you have to blame something else so that you can maintain confidence. And that might be something that even those players don't recognize. It'll also be really cool to see what he's able to do with Mikko Rantanen. I'm sure he'll be on that line at least at some point during the season. I think that's something that should be him, Roope, and Rantanen should be together for a considerable period of time before they're actually split up, if that ever needs to happen.
Well, because I don't really remember them trying that very much. And maybe it was just because Granlund was just that much better with, chemistry wise with those two guys compared to Robertson. But now with Granlund out of the way,
I think you're kind of misremembering. They didn't try it in the playoffs because Granlund worked so well, but the regular season, they kept that group together for a good long while, and they couldn't really get them going. So,
and that gets me thinking about all the training camp stuff and what we're going to see goalie do, Glenn Golitzson. But we'll talk about that.
This is not that show.
Yeah, this is not that show. But it does get my brain excited a lot, though. Okay, I want to go to this next one because this next one is very interesting, and I had to adjust my thinking on this particular player because I think we expected too much out of him, and it wasn't fair. Wyatt Johnston. I think I give him an A for the season. And here's why. He was being asked to play a huge role on this team. And I think we got really excited with what he did last year. And when I say last year, I'm talking about the 23-24 season where he had 65 points. He was a plus 14. He gained a minute and a half time on ice per game. That was an equivalent. Like huge numbers, right? Enormous numbers. It was enormous based off of his first year. But then when you go back and you look at his numbers, they're fairly similar to what he did last year. And what's more significant for me is when you look at his time on ice per game. And that's something that we talked about a lot with a lot of our episodes throughout last season. We were consistently talking about the fact that he was the top forward in time on ice in almost every single game, especially when there was a lot of special teams. He is very, very very defensively responsible, sorry. And then obviously he's got a wicked shot and he's a very smart player when it comes to the offensive side of the puck too. He got 33 goals, 38 assists, 71 points. So he got a bump in his points a little bit. So it's pretty consistent there. But the thing that I really want to point out is, again, that time on ice. 17 minutes average time on ice in 23-24. And in 24-25 last year, he went to 18 minutes and 56 seconds time on ice. So that's very nearly a 2-minute bump time on ice per game. That's like an extra 4 to 5 shifts per game. So he was relied upon to do a lot of extra work this season as a 21-year-old or 22-year-old, whatever he is. 22-year-old. Okay. No, he was 21 for most of the season, actually. So 21. So are there questions about him in the playoffs? Sure. Yes. But not the same questions that we ask of like Matt Duchene, for example. It's not the same. And Matt, Wyatt Johnston also is 22, not 35. And he has scored big goals in the playoffs for the Stars. And has been fairly consistent. So do you want more from him? Probably, because you're asking him to play a bigger role. I don't know what his role is next season. Like what his expectations should be. Should we expect him to be around this same, 65 to 75 point range like Roope Hintz? Or should he be more elevated? Should he be getting to a point per game kind of status like Mikko Rantanen? I don't know. And that's why I needed to adjust my perspective a little bit on that. Because where my expectation was for him is that I expected him to be above a point per game this year and going up and above and maybe even to like 90 plus points. I was thinking of that. And we were all talking about, could he get over 40 goals and stuff like that? he was pretty close for a lot of that. He was pretty close. So I want to get your thoughts on that.
Yeah, he gets a B from me. I think there's still a lot of room for him to improve, and then especially when the playoffs happened, that was just very clearly not a good showing for him. He played his worst hockey in the most important time of the season, which was really a shame to lose your two centers. Which, I mean, we talk about the forward depth, but I think the main thing we're talking about there is the forward center depth. I mean, having Matt Duchene and Wyatt Johnston as your 2-3 is pretty ridiculous. I mean, that's where a lot of the strength and the spine of this team was, and both of those guys were absent in the playoffs. And I think that's a big part of why they couldn't get over the same hurdle again. So I think he needs to be put in an elevated role where he has the opportunity to get some of those really high points, because I think you're right, Ryan. He has the superstar potential, but to do it next to Jamie Benn again this season and whoever
Bork,
else
probably.
is put next to Maverick Bork, maybe. I mean, no one's going to be able to hit 100 points when those are your line mates. Well, maybe McDavid. I don't know. But
McDavid or McKinnon could probably do it, yes.
But yeah, I'd like to see him somewhere in the top 6. I mean, like, just forced in there. Like, even if it's not working, like, make it work. Find a way. Because, I mean, this guy is so good, and I think he needs to have better opportunities on the offensive side of the puck.
I know we said we wouldn't talk about it, but I'm going to throw it at you. I think he needs to play on the left wing side on either the first or second line.
If he can, yeah.
And I know that hurts our center depth, you know, in like if we're talking about like prestige wise, and like you want him to be a center iceman, but right now that's not really what you need. You need a left winger, and you have a guy who has the ability and the quality and the, kind of that status to be able to handle that on a second line. And not to be mean to all of the other guys in the bottom 6, but you've got lots of guys in the bottom 6 who can play center. Lots, like a ton. You can play Sam Steele. You can do Radek Faksa is a perfect bottom 6, you know, centerman. Who else? Oscar Beck. Oscar Beck could also play center. I mean, and I'm sure. I mean, Colin Blackwell. Colin Blackwell can even play center if needed. And I just think he needs to play with better players, and in order to get the most out of him.
Yeah,
and I don't think he's going to do that playing on a third line.
And even if it's not the wing, okay, make him center the second line. I mean, have Matt Duchene move over. He's not the best defensive guy anyway. We saw that numerous times. So swap him out for a defensive center, and then have Matt Duchene figure out the wing. He's a more veteran guy anyway. He's probably losing a step or two as he grows older. So make it a little easier on him.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and talk about him since you just brought him up. Matt Duchene. This is another interesting one for me. And if I could split the grades, I would.
I'm splitting them. This is my show. I can do what I want. Matt Duchene, regular season A+, and postseason F-. I mean, insane how much drop off there was. Insane.
Like, and you know what? I'm kind of with you in the point. I mean, he was a point per game in the regular season.
Over.
He had 82 points in 82 games.
Oh, he did play full 82 games.
Yeah, he played the full 82 games. And he played 17 minutes time on ice, which is more than he did last year. It's a little bit more. It's not a ton.
Second line,
it's a little bit more. But the deal is no one's talking about the regular season, and again, that's not exactly fair for us to like talk to him about this. But in 18 games in the playoffs, 1 goal, 5 assists for 6 points, and a -16. Like that is completely unacceptable from a guy who the 82 points was above and beyond what we expected from Matt Duchene. We did not expect. Yes, exactly. Exactly. It almost sucks that he led the Stars in scoring this year, points wise, because then that raised your expectations for him for the playoffs this past year. and you're like, oh, okay, well, he really sucked in 23-24 playoffs. He's gonna figure it out this year. He led the Stars in points this year. It looks like he's finally gonna figure it out, and he doesn't.
And then nothing.
And then we were talking to the point where I didn't want him back just because of how the playoffs went, and I was eye blind to the regular season stats. It didn't matter to me when I was talking about this player. And that's unfortunate. That is really, really unfortunate. So the Stars are rolling the dice, and Jim Nill is rolling the dice on this and thinking that he's going to be able to figure it out, because he's not going to replicate next year what he did this past season. He's going to be 35, and in the middle, his birthday is January 16th. He's going to be 35, during the season, and he's here for the next 4 years at a $4.5 million cap hit. $4.5 million for a guy who scores 82 points in the regular season. Holy crap.
That's ridiculous.
Yes, that's amazing. Not for a guy that only gets you 6 points in 18 games and has done it twice now in back-to-back playoff runs.
And honestly,
we need more of him.
I'd be happy if he takes a step back in the regular season, if it means he can save a little bit for postseason time. So that'd be perfect. And if you look at any other team, if you have a just generic NHL hockey team, and you tell them that their leading scorer in the regular season is only going to score 1 goal the entire playoffs, you're going to think they got knocked out in the first round. I mean, no other team would have gotten as far with their top scorer performing so poorly.
Well, and again, this goes to show you, like, the players that we expect to be leading this team in points have not been. Like, I mean, Wyatt Johnston, when he, not last year, but the year before, 23-20 and 23-24, he led the Stars in points, I think. No, that's not right. He led them in goals. Goal scoring. Okay. And you didn't expect that. You expected Jason Robertson to be doing that. This past year, you expected Jason Robertson or Roope Hintz to be your points leader. And that wasn't the case. It was Matt Duchene, your second line center. So that just goes back to all those other players that we talked about, and the fact that you have to ask the question, are they underachieving? And I think the answer to at least a little bit is yes. And we got some players who are overachieving. Okay. Fine, I'll do it too. Since you did it, that gives me the right to do it too. I'll give him an A+ for the regular season, and I'll give him an F for the playoffs. I mean, there's not another way to look at it. You can't. I love Matt to death because he's awesome to talk to. He always gives me the time of day when I ask him a question. But and he knows it himself. He knows it's not acceptable. He knows it. He knows it. So I don't know what he's gonna do to fix it, but he's got to figure something out for the playoffs this upcoming year. Okay, enough on Matt Duchene.
We're gonna have to get rolling.
Yeah, is it your turn or is it my turn?
I guess it's my turn. I'll say Tyler Seguin. A+. Great job getting injured, buddy. That's right when he needed you to do it. And good job coming back. A+. I think that's exactly what we expected Tyler Seguin to do. Okay. It's what we expected, so I'll give him just a flat A, not an A+. He didn't exceed.
We expected him to get hurt?
Yes.
Okay. I mean, and people forget he was a point per game until he got hurt.
Great start to the season.
He was hurt even at the beginning of the season. Not the very beginning, but fairly towards the beginning of the season before they shut him down and said, "We just want you ready and healthy for the playoffs." If he can keep that same exact chemistry with Matt Duchene, even though Marchment is gone, which I think they still can, but they've got to be able to have somebody who can not necessarily do it just as well as Mason Marchment, be the F1, but if it's Sam Steele, which that seems to be a likely scenario, but he plays on the left wing side up there. Sam Steele he's got to go down hard in the forecheck and be that guy that can be the Mason Marchment replacement for a cheaper price. But if they can do that and keep that chemistry, I think that will help Tyler Seguin a ton moving forward. It's kind of hard to grade Tyler Seguin because I don't remember. It was so long ago. He only played the first quarter of the season. He was done by December. So I guess I'll give him an A+ just for the fact that he and Matt Duchene just started absolutely ridiculous at the beginning of last season. So I will give him an A+ as well. Okay, my turn. Let's do Jamie Benn. What do you give him, Chris?
C. He passes.
C for captain?
C isn't captain. There you go. That's way funnier. He scored about 50 points. Like, that's fine for a third liner. He was good in the first round of the playoffs. I thought he was really good in that first round. And it just kind of trickled off from there. It's just so hard to grade him when you're still seeing him holding the Art Ross trophy. I mean, I'm staring at the bobblehead on my desk right now, and that's just not who he is anymore.
10 years ago.
And you have to, you got to accept it, and you got to look at what he's doing right now, and what he's doing right now is adequate. So.
For him, again, this kind of comes down to the playoffs too, where he kind of disappeared, and he was kind of relegated
to the first round.
Huh?
He was good the first round, I thought.
He was good in the first round, yes, but it's because his role is significantly I was going to say elevated, but that's not the right word. It was de-elevated. Like he was relegated. That was the word I was looking for. He was relegated to a fourth line checking role. So in the playoffs. So, and now we're looking at it with all the depth that the Stars have lost, as maybe he's the guy that plays in your top 6 on the left wing side with Matt Duchene and Tyler Seguin. I doubt it, but if you're looking specifically at left wingers, he is your second best left winger. So I think the Renaissance is gone. I hate to say that. I can't believe those words came out of my mouth.
That's what it feels like.
But I think it's done, because it's gone from the last 3 years, 78 points, 60 points, and then this past year, 49 points. And if you can get 49 points from a guy who is not making $9 million anymore, and he plays in the fourth line and he gets you 16 goals as a fourth liner, sure. That is what I think we can expect from Jamie Benn. Don't expect him to be the Renaissance from 3 years ago.
Yeah, and all the talk around the players, it always seems like the people who are closest to Jamie are talking about retirement and him a lot more than anyone else is. Like, we're not really talking about Jamie retire. He's only 35. I mean, you think a player like that who's hunting a cup will keep going until he gets one, but it seems like to those around him, he may be closer to retirement than we might think he is. And just from the outside looking in, Jamie Benn seems like a guy who would end it early before he slowly dies and fades into retirement. You know what I mean? Like, he wants to go out at least still being a good player. So I don't know. We just watch close, because if he gets a cup, I think he's for sure done. But you never know whenever he's going to decide to call it quits.
I think it's just the style of game that he plays. You know,
I think he's
the power forward is kind of being lost in today's game a little bit. They're still there, but it's not to the same extent as it was like when Brendan Morrow was known as one of the better power forwards in the game. Like, it's not that same level. It's more about the speed and the finesse and that kind of stuff in today's game. I think that's why he's slowing down, is because, and I mean, every power forward ever, this kind of happens to them. They tend to fade off a lot quicker than a lot of the other players, like Sidney Crosby, like Patrick Kane, Alex Ovechkin, like those guys.
Alex Ovechkin is the perfect example of a power forward who reinvented his game and found out how to score differently. So I think that's just that's more kudos to Ovechkin. Obviously, he's a once in a generational player to be able to seamlessly mesh between those two eras, from being a power forward who jams the puck into the net with the whole strength of his body to being able to score with skill and finesse, like you said, in this current NHL. But I think that's partially what Jamie Benn did with the Renaissance, is he added that skating and a little bit more skill, and he was able to extend his superstardom of his career just a little bit longer. But I think it's run its course now.
I mean, and if you're looking at it optimistically, I mean, there is a chance that we could see. I'm not saying he's going to get to 78 points again like he did 3 years ago, but could he get to 60 points again? I mean, there's a possibility in a brand new system and stuff like that, especially if he's having to play a top 6 role with Duchene and Seguin, we assume. But that just doesn't seem to be the most likely thing moving forward for Jamie Benn. But for the regular season, I'll give him a C+. That's I think he did his role very well, and he understands his role now, especially where he is. So, and 16 goals as a third, fourth liner, that's nothing to, kind of bat your eyes at. That's very good for a third, fourth liner. It's just everyone was looking at the contract he was being paid, and that was a thing that everyone was looking at. Okay, we got to go rapid fire on these next ones. We got a couple, but they're not as huge and encompassing as some of the other players we talked about. Oscar Beck. What do you give Oscar Beck for the season?
B. He was exactly what I thought he was.
I'll be a little bit nicer. I'll give him a B+. I was on like an A-, but did you see that one graphic that NHL put up that had him as the second line left winger?
Yeah,
did you happen to see that?
That made me angry.
I was just like, obviously you didn't watch him play. Like, I love Oscar Beck, and he does everything that he's supposed to. Like, he is a fantastic defensive forward. He is literally Radek Faksa 2.0. That'll be really interesting to see if those two guys play together. But
I don't think interesting is the right word. I think they're going to take the interest right out of the game.
Oh man, Chris, you're gonna love having both of those guys on the team this year, aren't you?
I'll just turn it off whenever they come on the ice. I know no goals are gonna go in either direction.
Yeah, just mute it on the TV. Just watch them go around and everything. So you don't
go
have
grab
to hear.
A snack or something.
Okay. All right. Colin Blackwell.
I'll give him a B as well. He's exactly what we wanted him to be. And he's a hustler on the fourth line, doing what he needs to do. And, man, that goal in the first round, that's going to live on forever.
That's why I'm giving him a B+ as well, because I'm not joking when I say this. I think that goal was huge for Dallas at the time. A lot of people forget. Like, we were down, I think we were down 2-0, correct? In that first round? Or was it just 1-0?
It was just 1-0.
It was just 1-0, but at that point, we had lost 7 games in a row dating back to the regular season. And we were all like, will the Dallas Stars ever win again?
Yeah.
And then it goes to overtime, and we're like, oh, please don't do this. And we were all, yelling names out left and right. And, of course, it's Colin Blackwell who scores the goal in game 2. Like, that alone gets him a plus. He gets a B from me, but he gets a B+ because of that one goal in the playoffs. Okay, this next one is interesting, and I think it might take a little bit more time. Maverick Bourque. What do you give Maverick Bourque for the 24-25 season? Because this is a very interesting one.
C. He played like a rookie. He looked like a rookie pretty much every time he was out there. He got better at times, but not really to the same level that we thought we would see. And, of course, we've been spoiled with Wyatt Johnston and his meteoric rise that he had. So it's hard to see other people struggling to get into it. And I think he will, but he didn't really do anything to really impress you last year. But I mean, you can see the vision. You see what he has, and you see the potential there.
I mean, he's not bad for a rookie. He really wasn't. I mean, 11 goals, 14 assists, 25 points. That's not bad. I mean, he is a very different rookie than Oscar Beck was. Oscar Beck,
he had much bigger expectations.
Yes, we knew Oscar Beck was a perfect fourth line center, and he was going to come in and play defensively and do what he was supposed to. Maverick Bourque, especially next season, is going to have. He's the one I really want to take that left wing side, that spot on the left wing side. Like, that's the guy I really want to be there. And so that way Wyatt can stay the third line center. but there's still a lot of question marks around him and whether he can go, get that offense going moving forward.
I think he has the most growth potential of any forward on the Stars lineup.
I agree, 100%. And that's even more growth potential than Wyatt Johnston. Yeah, or any of the guys we talked about who are we expect a little bit more up to elite status or superstar status. He's the guy that can make the biggest difference from this year.
He can take several steps.
Yes. I'll give him a C+. I'm being a little nicer. Okay, a couple of other guys we need to talk about that are no longer on the Dallas Stars. Evgeny Dadonov.
A.
I'll give him an A-. That's about where I was too. I mean, 20 goals for a guy that was thrown on every single line.
Most of the time.
Yeah, he was even thrown on the top line, not very often.
For a little bit.
For a little bit, like when he was doing really well.
Yeah,
like that's ridiculous from a guy who's 34. I hate that he's not with the Stars anymore, but there was just not there was no cap space, and there were more important things to get done than Evgeny Dadonov.
And that's why we kept Lyubushkin. You need to have at least one Russian on the team.
Got to have the Russian. Okay, Sam Steele. What do you give Sam Steele for this season?
I give him an A. He was really solid defensively. He did what he had to do on the fourth line, and he brought a little bit more skill, a little bit more offense, which was hampered by Oscar Beck. But now hopefully he'll be away from Oscar Beck and Radek Faksa, and he'll get a chance to spread his offensive wings and really fly.
I mean, if he gets that opportunity on the second line, like goalie said that they're looking at him being on that left wing side, then he absolutely should. If Seguin,
it'll be helpful to have a little bit better defensive guy there too, for sure.
Agreed. Especially Seguin is much more defensively responsible, but Duchene is not so much.
No.
I'll give him a B+ for the year. He improved throughout the season, and the stats don't really back up the grade, but man, was he good, especially down the stretch. That he was elevated in several roles. He was very noticeable through the season. He was constantly having that physicality element to his game. I loved him for that, and I think he's really going to thrive in this system, especially with what goalie said about we're going to take that physicality and kind of up it to the next level. I'm really excited. I think there's not another player that will benefit more from a new coach than Sam Steele, because I think he fits. He's a guy that will be really good in a middle six role on a team that wants to do really well in the playoffs. I believe that, saying that. I think he can really do really well. Now, is he playing out of his element a little bit? If he's playing a top six role, yeah, I think so. But that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about grades for the season. He gets a B+. Okay, and then Mason Marchment. What do you give Mason Marchment?
Mason Marchment gets a B. He performed well on that second line, but I think really the antics more than anything are the reason that he got traded.
I'm gonna give him a B-. Dude, before he got hurt, he was probably playing the best hockey of his career as a Dallas Star.
I think so. Yeah, that really made his season take a dive.
Yes, and it absolutely did.
To the face.
Yeah. And he just couldn't get back to that same level when he came back. And I still remember him, not even facing the goalie, and just threw a prayer back, a backhand, and was able to beat, was it Hellebuck?
That was sweet. No, it was the Canucks.
It was the Canucks.
No, okay. It was Hellebuck. Oh, I can't remember. I just never the jersey.
I don't remember. I have to go back and look. But it was a highlight reel goal. It was probably one of the top highlight goals of the 24-25 season. So, but again, I'm right with you. And just the penalties that he took, especially in the playoffs, really, really hurt this team. And that's something that he just can't have. He may be one of the best forechecking forwards in the NHL, but ultimately he doesn't get traded because of the because of the penalties. He gets traded just because it's a cap casualty. But that's just the way it is. He gets a B minus. So okay, there's one other player that we got to talk about. Logan Stankoven. What do you give Logan?
Oh, there's one more after that too. I give Logan an A+.
A plus.
He was a sacrifice. Had to happen.
I'll give him an A as well. I really am just absolutely 100% ecstatic for him, the contract that he got. And for those of you that don't know, he got 8 years re-signed at $6 million per. That's $48 million for a guy that was not even making $1 million the last couple of years. Like, that's just.
Yeah, I think he undersold himself. He could have made a lot more, I think.
Yep, that is true. I think,
but he is a perfect fit for what they're trying to do in Raleigh as well. So that might have been part of the calculation.
Oh, I see what you're talking about. Okay, so there were other players like Ritzkovian, Artu Huru that also got in some games.
Not those. I'm talking about Mikael Granlund.
That I know. That was the one I missed. Okay, so what do you give Mikael Granlund for what he did in his short time as a Dallas Star?
A+. I called it. I said we should give Mikael Granlund. Jim Nill obviously was listening to the podcast. He was like, yep, that guy sounds good. Let me get him. And bang, he is able to fill that hole on the top line that Robo left, which was massive. And he did so well that he stayed there for the entirety of the playoffs. The finish 5 starting lineup was awesome. That was super cool. And yeah, I mean, he did everything you had to do. And that's why we can't afford him anymore. It's because he did so well. So he did his job too. And he got himself paid.
I'll give him an A+ as well. And for all the reasons you said, but also because of the hat trick that he had in the playoffs. Like
so
he just fit that line so well between those 3 guys with him, Roope, and Mikko. It was just fantastic. And yeah, Chris, I'll give you credit. You called it. He was a guy that I wasn't against getting him, but I wasn't so sure that he would fit as well as he did. And obviously Jim Nill thought he would fit well, and it worked really well. So
I'm a genius.
You're an absolute genius, Chris. You are. I'll give it to you. Okay. It will be interesting to see what we will be able to give all of these players and more moving forward next year. And next year's offseason, we'll also get to do Radek Faksa for the first time in a very long time. And I know Chris is excited to talk about Chief again.
1 year without Radek Faksa was not long enough.
No, Radek Faksa is going to be that second line left winger.
Watch him just go off. Like that first round potential finally shows up. He just had to. I can't make that joke. If you know what joke I was about to make.
He just had to go off to St. Louis just to
get
all the
St. Louis.
Yes,
that was the joke.
Yes, sure, we'll go with that. Get all the defensive stuff out. Okay, now come back and be a top 6 forward for us and score 30 goals
and some other stuff.
All right, Chris. You got anything else for us tonight?
That's it.
All right. Well, thank you so much for all of you guys who are listening to us live or watching us live. We really appreciate it. If you're watching on YouTube later or now, we would really appreciate it if you would click like and subscribe. Hit that notification bell on YouTube. We're trying to get to 1,000. We're at like 920-ish at this point. So we're getting closer and closer as we approach next season. If you're listening on the audio side, 5-star review if you absolutely would, please. We would really appreciate that. If you'd like to support us monetarily, you can do so a couple of ways. Become a Who Cares member, Who Cares Club member for $5 a month. Link is in the description below. You can also support us with the merch store that we have, and the link is also in the description below. And also, if you or your buddy or someone you know has a business and would like to partner with us in doing so, you can check out our media kit, which is available on our website, and we're really looking forward to getting those things started next season. Chris, did I leave anything out?
I think you got it all, buddy.
Yeah. Social media. At Starcastic Art. That was the one thing I forgot. Alongside Chris, my name's Ryan. We'll catch you all on the flip side. Hope you all have a fantastic morning, afternoon, evening. Whenever you guys are listening, go Stars.